Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the June virtual tasting, Magnificent Mystery Malts. I'm your host for this evening, Matt Bailey. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. Let me just adjust my screen there so you can see me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Andrew's not with us tonight, so you've got me solo. I know I'm going to knock one of these glasses over. It's all very cramped here so that I've got enough closeness and interaction with the camera, aka so I can talk with you, lovely members and people who have joined in tonight to experience the Magnificent Mystery Malts. I wanted to talk about how this event format came about to start with. This is in our June outturn, which looks a bit like this. This is the June outturn. Oh, Alex, you flatter me. I'm hosting a tasting tonight, another virtual. Everyone's got their packs at home, I hope. Everyone's got their, who's tuned in and has got their whiskey packs ready to go for tonight, which is so exciting. We've been producing these society miniatures for a good 16, 17 months now. It's been a lot of fun. Hello, Alex. Thank you so much. Well, the format of tonight is Magnificent Mystery Malts. As I said, what up, someone says. This is a really exciting evening for us to host. I also want to do a quick shout out to our Melbourne contingent, who the room would look somewhat like this right now because that's the very room that our Melbourne members are in. There's 80 of them congregating. You lucky ducks that you even get to do a real person event at the moment. They are all congregating in that room right now. I've missed you too, Alex. Where have you been my whole life? Last few weeks, you've been gallivanting around Tasmania, among other things. I'm looking forward to your next steps as well, Alex. I'm looking forward to talking all about that. Looking forward to being embarrassed. Oh, by the way, Mirko, I forgot to tell you, we're actually sending you a full replacement of that sample that leaked a little bit, so don't worry about that. Hope you've got enough to sample tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about why this event sort of format came about and how this came about. This is about mystery malts. This is about challenging your palate. This is about assessing a whiskey entirely on the flavor, on the nose, the tasting, the flavor, everything. It's not about, it takes away the distillery. It takes away the brand. It takes away the whole sort of like, what do you call it? Everything that you'd think you want to know about this kind of format. It takes it all out of the equation, which means that you can then focus on the flavor of the whiskey and what's in your glass. That's the exciting part. So you can assess that whiskey. Now, if you've just opened your pack, there's an envelope that's in there, and Susie's written, "Do not open." The answers to the mystery malts are in here, okay? I would encourage you to open this right at the end because I'm going to tell you what each one is as we go along. I'd like to hear your tasting notes, your guesses, everything, but we're going to go through each one as we go along. So I'll reveal them as we go. I'm not going to hold you out until the end. That's okay. Darren, I'm sorry I missed you this week. I'm assuming you had to dart back kind of quickly. That's the way these outbreaks work, my friend. I'm sorry to how that weapon happened. Evening from Cold Tassie. Gary, I'm going to guess that's you. I'm going to guess that's Gary. I'm not sure. Anyway, so good to see you. So everyone tuning in and being a part of Magnificent Mystery Malts. The reason why we're also doing Magnificent Mystery Malts is because it's Champs Month coming up. July is Champs Month. It's a month from tomorrow. It's completely sold out. Champs is completely sold out. There's 200 people booked in for it, both industry, punters, everyone is coming. It's so good. No, it's Dave. Sorry, mate. I can't see your name on here. All it says is Facebook user. You can click the StreamYard link in the group or on the page to let it authorize your name. It doesn't take anything except your name. We've already given Facebook all of our details anyway, haven't we? It is Champs Month next month. The Champs have sold out. Barring any restrictions, it's still going ahead at the moment. Like, unless we can't go ahead with it, but we are going ahead with it at the moment. It is still happening. We still have, we've got people coming in, by the way. We've got Bill Lark competing. We've got John Jarvis from Hobart competing. We've got half the Sullivan's Cove team competing. We've got a whole bunch from Melbourne, including one bloke who's the head blender for Starwood competing. He might have a good chance. He's got a great palate. Look, I like to think of the championship as the perfect mix of skill and luck. The guy who won it in 2016 had been into whiskey for about 3 weeks. Brooke Heyman won it in 2018. Brooke's a legend, owns a whiskey bar, Whiskey and Almond, a fantastic partner bar. Co-owns it with Julian White, her partner. And it's a fantastic bar and a fantastic experience too for her. They won a full trip to Scotland. You know what? So it's really cool. The Champs are great. By the way, the Champs this year, we've also got support. There's 4 bars on the night. There's an SMWS single cask bar. There's a Ben Riek bar. There's a Fever Tree bar and our good friends over at Balvenie. Ross Blaney's running a bar as well. It's going to be such a great night. It's going to be such a great night. Anyway, I'm so glad it has sold out, as I said. So I don't need to talk about the champs, but I will show you just one little sneak peek that the lapel pins arrived. That's my little photo of them there. Anyway, let's press on. Let's pour that first whiskey. I'm going to pour it straight from a bottle here. And I'm not going to show you what that is, obviously, because we're going to have a nose of it. So pick up your sample number 1 and pour yourself a dram of it. Let's just pour that into the glass. You don't need to pour the whole dram. Mirko, you might need to pour the whole dram. I'm sorry. I know that's the one that leaked for you. What we have here is a very light color straight away. We like to start with a lighter whiskey on the front of a tasting, I'm sure. Alex, did you book in? Me? Alex, what are you coming to Champs? Please tell me you're coming to Champs. That'd be great. Yes, mate. I only got 24 hours locked in a hotel. Be back soon enough. Good, mate. Be back soon, though. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Sydney's doing some proper messing about with COVID at the moment. Good chance for us to sit down and have a virtual and have a few drams. And by the way, again, huge shout out to our Victorian contingent tonight who are all gathering together. There's 80-odd members in the Kelvin Club right now from the society. So if anyone's being a sneak and tuning in from the back of the room and not disrupting Alex's presentation, howdy. Good to see you. Like I said, Andrew's not joining me tonight, but I will make some calls that he may have made on other nights. So we'll see how we go there. No, I'm just winding him up. Okay. Let's have a look. Whoop, just spilled a little bit already. So let's have a look at this first whiskey. It's very, does anyone want to at least take a stab at the flavor profile here? So I'm going to, what do we got? What do we got? Any guesses? Any guesses on the whiskey number 1? We are on whiskey number 1, just for those playing at home. It's very light, very crisp green apple skins for me. It's not. I'll give you some clues as we go along, so I don't give it all away at once. If you're watching this later on, you can always pause so you don't get rushed along as well. Hi, I can't see your name, but I'll say hello back. Spicy sweet, okay. Spicy sweet's good flavor profile. Young and sprightly is a good flavor profile as well. Joel, I'm going to give you a clue. Don't worry about disrupting Alex. Who needs enemies when you got friends like that, right? So we're on whiskey number 1. I'm just going to put that up on. Where are you, Bailey? Where am I? I'm in Sydney. Obviously, I couldn't get there. I'm sorry. Where are you, Bailey? Stuck here with Morsey presenting. Subpar. No, don't say that. Morsey's an amazing presenter. He has a very unique style. As do I. I mean, we all, as does Andrew, as does all of our state managers. We all have a unique imprint that we like to bring to an event as a real performance. And I think I'd love to hear. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to say it right now, Reza, you've got it right. It is light and delicate. So this flavor profile for whiskey number 1 that we're on right now is in fact light and delicate. I'm going to pop this in this. Save that here. We go. So what do we got? We got whiskey. We're on whiskey number 1 right now. I'll put the ticker down the bottom so we can all see which one we're up to. I should have organized these tickers earlier, shouldn't I? There we go. That's all right. We're on whiskey number 1 right now. Where's Bailey? Yeah, it's funny. I think that was basically trending in society circles, that hashtag at the whiskey cruise. That whiskey cruise was a lot of fun. You know what? Cruising around the water, cruising down a river, drinking whiskey with a whole bunch of people. What an amazing afternoon that was. It is light and delicate. Our flavor profiles are not determined on cask type or age. We've had deep, rich, and dried fruits from refill bourbon. We've had young and sprightly from first fill Oloroso. So let me just because it's a sherry cask or something, but doesn't mean that it's going to be a sherried profile. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be deep, rich, and dried fruits or anything like that. Guessing Distillery 82. We've had some 82s recently, so that's a good guess. I don't reckon anyone's going to get this Distillery. Joel, actually, you know what I'm going to say, Joel? I'm going to say you're warm, but you're not correct. You are warm, though. You're not too far off. What about the proof? Oh, no point trying to guess the proof. They're all on the tasting mat. 55.1%. We have to give you the proof. Otherwise, it's not very... ethical would be the word for it. I'm not sure. Any other guesses? Any other guesses? I want to show I'll show the reveal in a second. Let's have a taste. Wow. There's a bit of sort of like cola candy. Remember those cola candy tube things as a kid at all? Do you reckon it's a space cider? Do you reckon it's a Highland whiskey? An Islay whiskey? Certainly not an Islay whiskey. It is light and it's light and delicate in the flavor profile. Reza, I'm going to put your comment up there again. You got that right. Rock and roll. Bourbon cask space side. Good guess. What about age? What about age on that one? How old do we think it is? I'd love to hear a guess as to the age statement on that one. It's very similar to Distillery 82's OB 10-year-old, hence why I think it here. You know what, Joel, I'm a huge fan of Distillery 82's core range. I think they do a marvelous job with that spirit, and it is supremely underrated because A, it's not a distillery that's very sexy. No one really even knows about it. And B, the packaging is so naff. Let's be honest. The packaging looks like they designed it in 1975, and they're just like, well, we're going to stick with that forever. Seems like a coastal space side. Ooh, that's a really good guess, and that's a really educated guess, actually. Coastal space side. I mean, there is a coastal note almost to it, isn't it? I'm getting like a, what do you call it? Like maritime-y crisps almost. I mean, is this distillery near some water? I'll tell you right now, it's not. It's not near any coast. I'm sorry. In fact, I'm going to give you another really big clue for those who are nerds with their any geographic nerds in here. I'm going to go with it's near a highway. 6 to 8 years, maybe. Okay, it's got a young note to it. Okay, looks chill filtered and deflocked to me. I don't know. I can't see who said that comment, but I'm going to just remind everyone that Society Drams are completely non-chill filtered and non-flocked. So I'm not going to go into the nerdiness of what they are right now, but yeah, exactly. Look, Darren, you've hit the nail on the head here. This is the whole sort of fun of identifying flavors and trying to guess what they are, which is the whole sort of the fun of the champs in a way. The champs is a bit easier than this, I'll admit, but picking down a single cask where every single cask is uniquely different is very hard to do. Very hard indeed. 6 to 7 year old Highland ex-bourbon. Okay, Joel, you've been very close on a few things here. Can't tell whether ex-bourbon or first fill. I'll give you a clue. It's refill. Whoops, 44. Yeah. Don't have highways. They absolutely have highways in Scotland. And this distillery Scotland isn't just cobblestone roads everywhere and quaint little distilleries. Some distilleries this is a distillery of reasonable size as well, I'll say. Matt W. I know 2 Matt W's. Anyway, here we go. I like that whiskey. I really like that whiskey. I'll be straight up with you. It's very, very pleasant. That's a real summer dram as well. Like that would be a really like warm Sunday afternoon kind of whiskey. I know that's not really the right weather for it right now in Australia, but I do love that kind of whiskey. I'm going to reveal what it is. Here we go. This is cask 28.50. I knew no one would get this code. So Brazilian Beach Hammock Sundowner. All of you who said refill are correct. It is full maturation refill ex-bourbon. And you know, all those people saying it's between 6 to 8 years old are incorrect. It is a 15-year-old in the light and delicate flavor profile. We haven't released this before. This is a really lovely kind of example of, I guess, where the spirit shines really nicely, even as a teenage cask. It's not. It does almost have those youthful character to it, and it's really it's a Highland whiskey as well. So space side is a bit off, but like on the front there it has a summer's delight, Vino Verde, fruity Caipirinha, chamomile tea, lemonade and ginger beer. Lemonade and ginger beer, yeah. On the lawn, lakeside, or on a Brazilian beach. I'm hoping like People really enjoyed that kind of style of whiskey. I know I enjoy that kind of style of whiskey. Whiskeys that have got a bit of age, a bit like teenage whiskeys like that, where there's a lovely spirit character still shining through, and it's not encumbered by needing to be sherried or needing to be port cask or needing to be recharred or anything like that. We would have never have guessed you like it. I'm running into that kind of style. You know, I don't know if you know. I'm sure you're winding me up, Darren, but I really am into that sort of style of whiskey that have what I like to call, you know, really like where there's a delicate nature to it. They are they're nuanced. They have a lot to say. That like that one for me is I'm going to call that an outturned sleeper as well. When we put that on outturn, we haven't yet. That's going to be an outturned sleeper. By the way, the vast majority of these bottlings will be available right on about 9 p.m. I think online tonight. So keep an eye out for those. I'll let you know when they go up online. Are you not supposed to be taking off a piece of clothing for each reveal? No, actually, Matt Wooler. I'm supposed to be keeping these on and taking the lids off these drams, though. So anyway, I reckon we move on to you taste like a Scotsman half a dram. You taste like a Scotsman half a dram per sip. Do I? I mean, that was a really small pour. I only poured like about 15 mil into that, so 2 7.5 mil tastes. I don't know. See how we go. So we're up to whiskey number 2 now. So why don't we pour that? Pour number 2 into your glass. I'm going to do the same. Hide that bottle. All right. Let's move on to whiskey number 2, shall we? Actually, before we do, I actually had some photos to show you of whiskey number 1. I'm jumping a bit ahead of myself here. Of that first whiskey, I actually took some photos when I was at this Distillery 28, also known as a distillery starting with T on off a highway. You'll see the name of the distillery in a second. It's quite fascinating. They've really got everything very jammy. It's very jammy in there. I'll remember 28 is by a highway. That's a very particular clue. Reza, if I give too much away, I know what society members are like. So if I say even like a slightly more specific clue than that, a slightly more broader clue than that, they're going to guess it straight away. So I'm just going to have to keep that under my hat for now. Before we move on to whiskey number 2, though, I was just going to say I took some photos at the distillery. Here's the still room, and there's washbacks and stills and mills and everything all really jammed into this room. It's like a one-room distillery, but there's a lot of room on the site. But the actual distillery itself, you can see from these photos, it's very jammy in there. Everything's really tight. Everything's up against the walls. It's one of those classic examples where the distillery has expanded over the years, and it's still just as they still have the same size building, just fitting bigger stills and bigger washbacks and whatnot into each of it. And there's a wash charger at the back there, and you can see the stills. They're all really close to each other. And the 2 safes on either end, which would have been just replicated from the originals. I wouldn't know the name of this distillery, but there it is. It's just off the highway. Little construction going on in that photo. They have their own cooperage on site as well. They do their own coopering. They do everything. It's one of those sort of do everything distilleries. I'll just show you here as well. Fantastic room here. It's like an old train tunnel that they mature stock in. They don't mature much in there, but they've got a few casks laying down of third-party stocks on some of their own, and then there's the bonded gate for where they keep all their precious older stocks, I guess, on site. So let's move on to whiskey number 2. Whiskey number 2. Now, some people have already poured it, and I saw a comment here. Whiskey 2 is strawberry jam for me. That's a really good tasting note. I get exactly what you mean there. Does anyone want to throw a flavor profile into the mix here? Actually, before I go too far ahead of myself, which I have a habit of doing, pour whiskey number 3 as well. So pour your whiskey number 3 next to whiskey number 2. There's rhyme and reason to my madness here, trust me. So pour number 2 and 3 side by side. There's a reason for this. Let's have a nose of that whiskey number 2. Strawberry, now that someone said it, I mean, it's power of suggestion, I know, with tasting notes. Now that someone said it, it's kind of like, yeah, I can't get past that strawberry jam note now. By the way, I'd love to see some photos of anyone's home setup of how they're actually enjoying things tonight. You can just you can see on the scroll here, share your jamming experience in our Facebook group or Instagram using just hashtag SMWS at home. Any guesses on flavor profile? Sweet, fruity, mellow. Okay, got it, Darren. Yep. Wow. This is actually this is the first time I've tasted this whiskey, as I'll admit. Some of these casks I get a chance to taste days or weeks before for using for other tastings and whatnot. This is the first time I've tasted this one. We've jumped up in proof a little bit here. 58.9, but I think it carries it really nicely. Toffee for us. Andy and Louise Lane, good to see you. Toffee. Well, what kind of toffee? Like apple toffee apple, or like pure caramel toffee kind of notes? I mean, there's a lot of sweetness in there. There's a lot of nuttiness as well for me, like chestnuts. Like raw Brazil nuts, or maybe I should say almost toasted Brazil nuts a little bit here. A bit of spice on the finish, yeah. Deep, rich, and dry fruits is a good guess. That's a good guess. Sweet, fruity ML is also another guess. Speyside First Fill Bourbon. I'm going to go with interesting choice. Interesting. No, you know what? I'm not going to give that away too much. I'm not going to give away too much. Have I got any clues about this distillery? I mean, one clue I could give a really sort of massive clue, I guess. If I say it though, you'll hear it. And anyway, Yorkshire toffee. Yeah, Yorkshire toffee. Okay, that's. I love a bit of specificity in your toffee. That's really good. Caramel toffee, Gary. I'll go with that. Yeah. Does anyone get like a bit of like white chocolate, melted white chocolate? A bit of mulled wine. I'm going to add a bit of water to this. I didn't add water to that first whiskey. I didn't think it needed it. 55's already sort of nicely balanced. I'm added just a few drops of water to this one. See how it behaves. Another taste. What do we reckon? I'm holding out for guesses here. Now, we have a certain member that is a huge fan of this distillery, and I don't think he's tuned in tonight. He would have normally commented by now. There is a sherry finish on the nose. I know what you mean there. Refill Manzanilla finish. We haven't seen too many Manzanilla casks at the Society. We've seen a few here and there. It's funny. I mean, we've had a discussion about sherry casks in the past. Most sherry whiskies come from XPX or Ex Oloroso. They are just more desirable and more available to Scotch whiskey producers. Ex Manzanilla, ex Fino, ex Amontillado, ex Palo those kinds of sherries are generally much more expensive casks and more importantly, much less desirable for the maturation of whiskey. So you see these. I have tasted a few ex Fino, I've tasted a few ex Manzanilla, ex Amontillado, ex Palo those kind of things. They don't. It's either the influence is either non-existent or muddles the spirit completely. It's not really desirable in whiskey at all because you're going to miss out on all those aromas and characters of the spirit. If it's just, I mean, I've had some sherried whiskey in the past, which you just say, oh, I may as well just drink a sherry. Like at this point, I may as well just drink a sherry. What are we up to here? Still on whiskey number 2 here. Are we all ready for the reveal? Okay, I think I've teased it out enough. I'm going to give the reveal. Whiskey number 2 in the Magnificent Mystery Malts tonight is a drum roll, please. A Day at the Fun Fair, spicy and sweet. Did anyone get that flavor profile? It's only one step removed from deep rich and dried fruits. So if anyone who said that, it's also very close. 68.49, 9-year-old spicy and sweet in a recharred hogshead, full maturation in recharred hogshead. Now, I've talked a little bit before about different cask types and different things like that. A recharred hogshead, however, is exactly as it sounds. It's a hoggy that's would have been used as a first fill, second fill, or third fill, and then it's had a full rechar. It's almost brought it back to first fill, but just in a different way. It's just invigorated differently. You generally won't see rechar. Even a 9-year-old rechar is quite old. Rechar is one of those sort of like characteristics of a whiskey that can overly bourbonite it sometimes. It can become a little bit overly sort of like sweet, spicy caramel, corn syrup kind of notes. And they are very desirable in whiskey. It syrups the whiskey a bit more if you like. And it gives it that sort of really sort of rich, spicy note. It says on the front there, a day at the fun fair, cotton candy and roasted chestnuts in the air, eating skewers of grapes dipped in white chocolate and candied almonds. And it's a 9-year-old, 15th of March 2011, 277 bottles worldwide, 58.9%, and an allocation for Australia of 30 bottles. However, something I want to mention about this particular bottling, it is actually part of our I'll show you the distillery. There you go. There's Distillery 68. Beautiful spot. Actually, it's a kind of stunning looking distillery. Has the archetype red door. It has the mossy buildings. It is a lovely nutty spirit that they make there. Where's my thing gone? Here we go. There's the stills. That photo's a little bit old. They have upgraded that room since, but I think it's fantastic. They sort of like culminate in this almost like pulpit up the front of where they condense and where the line arms draw into there. And they're quite stunning looking stills, really. They're quite attractive stills. I know you're sort of venturing into real nerdy territory when you're remarking on the beauty of the shape of the stills, aren't you? But you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to enjoy the nerdery and fun of whiskey rather than the fluff and the marketing. I'll just also mention that this whiskey is one of 3 whiskeys in the 3 dram set. The 3 dram set is a whiskey pack that we're giving away to everyone who joins the society between now and the end of July. So you've got still like 4.5 weeks or more to join. I know all of you tuning in right now will be already members. However, if you're already a member, then you just invite a friend to join. They join, they put your name in the referrer box. You get one of these as well. It's that simple. It's that straightforward. It's a very cool little set. There's a photo of it. I'm being so up front, honest with you. Look, I've got one here. That was one sent to me. Comes with an envelope with the tasting notes of each whiskey, and I'm going to do without dropping the samples out of the box. I'll try and show this on camera. Comes with the three samples in the box as well. One of them is the 30-year-old Vaults Collection bottling, 39.199. That is an unbelievable whiskey. So, yeah, there we go. There is a sherry. I've got to that. Agree with that. Sherry nose. I'm guessing this is Mr. Durbidge's favorite distillery, but not a sherry cask. That was a good guess, Joel, but it is Distillery 68, not Andrew's favorite distillery, which would be numero uno. I couldn't be more far. Yeah. Do they scrape the barrel before rechar? No, they don't scrape it. There's no need. The charring process will do everything it needs to do. A toast generally goes for 45, 50 seconds. A char can be as little as even 5 or 6 seconds. It's a very violent way of treating the cask, if you like, but it means that it gets a different sort of treatment to the cask. Every distillery, every cooperage, everyone will have different levels of char, different levels of toasting. I like that whiskey. Now, the reason I asked you to pour whiskey number 3 as well, there is a reason. There's rhyme and reason to all of this. Where are we? I'm going to put this here, and we'll say, so we're up to whiskey number 3 now. Okay. I hope you poured that whiskey number 3 already, because it's going to play a huge part in this adventure. I also want to mention that Unfiltered, our June edition of Unfiltered, is now live on the website. You have to be logged in to see it. Issue number 58, June 2021. There's some awesome stuff happening. There's distillery features about Welsh whiskey. There's an interview with Dennis Malcolm, who's the longest serving distiller in Scotland. The history of 28 Queen Street, one of our venues, is an unbelievable read if you're into sort of history of buildings and architectural kind of stuff like that, which is kind of fun. So, whiskey number 3. Okay. We're back. I'm going to bring us back here. Here we are. There I am. Technological nightmare sometimes. Okay. The color is noticeably darker. It is like properly dark. If you compare it to where we've just come from, I've got a bit left in that glass. It is, yeah, that's the one we're just on. Yep, it's properly darker. Let's have a nose of that. Ooh. You know what, Darren? I'm going to throw you the trophy for this one straight away. Deep, rich, and dried fruits. Absolutely, bang on, my friend. I'm going to leave that on screen for a moment because this is deep, rich, and dried fruits. This is rich and syrupy and charry and big and brash and beautiful. The first thing I notice on the nose is that it's immediately for me a sherry cask. It's not trying to hide that at all. Some sherried whiskies, like refill sherry whiskies, often have that much more delicate nuance. They often bounce around a bit differently. They sort of give you they confuse and they're lovely. But I love it when you also sometimes get a massive sherried whiskey like this. It's so clean on the nose. And what I mean by that is there's not a lick of sulfur for me. If you've got a higher sulfur sensitivity than I do, which is more than likely, maybe you do get it. I don't get any, not any. And I can still smell the distillate. I can still smell the spirit. I'm not just nosing sherry. Joel Rinaldi says, I know exactly what this is. Wow, really? Okay. It's a big call, but I'll take your word for it. There's almost a ever so slight salt lick to it. Just on the nose so far. I've only been nosing it. The ABV is 58.8. It's very, very, very similar in ABV to the previous one. There's a reason why I asked you to pour 2 and 3 at the same time. Very shy on the nose. Okay. I like that. I like that as well. It doesn't give too much away on the nose, does it? Like it gives me sherry. It gives me salt lick. I get a bit of earthiness. Again, that chestnut character. Roasted chestnuts. Chocolate mousse. My God. What is that? Caramel sauce and chocolate mousse. Caramel sauce on chocolate mousse. This is a dessert dram if I've ever had it. This is a special sherried whiskey. And by the way, I think being able to taste like something like this in these packs is rather exciting. Something really curvebally here. Like we've started at that 28.50. Lovely whiskey. It's like crystalline and buttery almonds in a glass. Then the next whiskey was that spicy and sweet, nutty 68. Day at the fun fair. Big flavors in a rechar. Now we're over here. We've changed gears entirely at this point. Bit of banana bread. Red velvet cupcake. Buttered croissant. It's 58.8%, but I'm not inclined to add water to that. I've said before, ex-bourbon barrels appreciate water. Ex-sherried whiskies tread carefully. And old whiskies almost never. So, okay, we've guessed the flavor profile. Reza, you know what? I think you and I have a very similar palate. Because I'll be completely honest, I am not a huge sherried whiskey fan. I like sherried whiskeys. I prefer ex-bourbon barrels. It's the reasons of complexity. It's the reasons of enjoyment. I find that a lot of sherried whiskeys, and I just don't agree with them. I find some of them just either monodimensional or I'm just talking from even just core range bottlings. Like there's core range. There's a couple of like 2 or 3 big sherried car strength extra sherried whiskeys on the market as core range bottlings, and I don't like any of them. One of them might be called something that rhymes with a dunder. One of them might be something that looks like a number on the bottle. Another one might be something that ends in ach. Anyway, I'm not here to bash them. I'm just saying it's just not my cup of tea. I think they make great whiskey, but it's just not my thing. I taste Pedro Jimenez. Ooh, that's a very good call, Michael. That's a very good call. All right, you know what, Joel? Fine, you can have that reveal. I'm probably not going to your pace. You know what? There it is, 68.52. Joel Ronaldo, you had it bang on. Well done. Death by Chocolate Cake. Pardon me. This whiskey is part of our July outturn. So you're tasting an outturn preview. By the way, July outturn is next Friday, the 2nd of July, not the 4th of July, as it says on the front cover. We're going to fix that. That's our mistake. Flavor on flavor. Oloroso, maybe a hint of dryness. So those who are saying Oloroso are correct. Those saying XPX are also correct. So the 68.52 has an initial cask of, as you can see here, I hope you can see my mouse, maybe not, X Oloroso butt, and then the final cask of first fill XPX butt. So it's gone from sherry to sherry. That is unusual. That is not something we'd normally do. You see a lot of whiskey that's in ex-bourbon finished in sherry. Then you see some whiskey like this that is in ex-Oloroso, then finished in first fill XPX. And it was 11 years in ex-Oloroso and then 2 years in XPX. So it's gone from a sherry cask to a sherry cask. It's layers of sherry. I think it's a lovely whiskey. I'm really going to agree with Reza here. I'm not a huge sherried whiskey fan. It has to be a really special sherried whiskey for me to go, wow. This one gives my wow tingle a bit of a sense here. This is one of those whiskeys where there's layers of sherry. It's not just I may as well just drink a sherry kind of sherry whiskey. This is like I'm getting a bit of that Oloroso dry, like that sort of dryness of an Oloroso. I'm getting that sweetness of an XPX. I'm getting that nuttiness of the spirit character, and it's coming together really nicely. This would have been something that Ewan Campbell in our spirits team would have put together and has done a marvelous job of it, in my opinion. I wouldn't add water to that, and I'm going to finish that dram. Lovely stuff. Truly lovely stuff. I think anyone you know who would be keen on learning more about sherried whiskey and the layers that it can actually have without just being an overbearing sherry bomb. And next time I hear someone describe a whiskey as a sherry bomb, you know what? That's the second worst descriptor I've ever heard, along with smooth. Smooth doesn't tell you anything, and I think sherry bomb is both overplayed and doesn't tell me anything of the flavor. That just tells me it's a sherried whiskey. It's a big sherried whiskey. Yeah, but I think we need to get better as tasters, as enjoyers of whiskey, to go. We deserve better. We deserve to be a bit more transparent with of saying these flavors. What are these flavors, and where are they coming from? There's the whiskey as it's going to appear in July Outturners. For those who have read Outturn already, that's the whiskey. There it is. We're very happy with this one. We're really happy we've got a nice solid allocation of it as well to share around with everyone. Okay, let's we can take a break if we need. I think how are we going for time? We're going good. We're fine. Where are we? Let me have a look at some of these comments coming through. Darren says, yes, good stuff. I'm enjoying it with an 85% cocoa chocolate. Michael, I think that might be almost what we would call a perfect pairing. I love it when you find those moments of pairing where the whiskey comes together with something almost accidentally way too good. By the way, big shout out to Michael. You are acing the photos of your society enjoyment, I think, more than anyone. You post them so frequently. It's so good. And I hope you're well, by the way. I hope you and the family are all well. And I was just chatting with Mark the other night. It's so good. So where are we? We're going to move on to whiskey number 4 in a second. I don't want to push anyone along here, but also don't want to make you wait too long either for each one. So we'll push this across. Here we go. Why does it still say my name on the screen? Anyway, big mystery here. So let's pour whiskey number 4. I'll pour. Where is it? Oh, there's the bottle. I really can't give too much away, can I? Just pour just a dab of that. Okay. Magnificent Mystery Malts, whiskey number 4. Here we are. Hey, Matt, checking in from Melbourne. Cal, Doc, James, good to see you. I'm so bummed. I was supposed to be in Melbourne tonight for the for Alex's festival tasting that was rescheduled. I was going to be at the old one, but of course, lockdowns in Melbourne prevented it. Now I'm not at the new one because Sydney's lockdowns have prevented it, so we can't win. Anyway, good to see you, Zeno Wolf. I'm going to use the leftovers of bottle 3 and a brownie. Ooh, Gary, have you got a bottle of this 3? By the way, I should also mention, I meant to mention a bit earlier that the whiskeys for this tonight, some of these are out-turn previews, as we've already just seen just then. And if you want to grab any of these bottles before they go out on sale next week, a small, very small allocation of each of these 5 whiskeys will be available tonight on the website, and I'll announce it as soon as that happens. All right, let's do this. Let's get into Magnificent Mystery Malt number 4. I know, I'm going to pick up from where Andrew would be if we were sitting here together. Look at the color on that. I mean, this is sort of like that's no longer just I guess, hay gold. It's kind of like it's got a sort of like a heavier weight to it, just slightly. The nose on this immediately tells me we're bordering into some rather special territory here. Light and fruity, nice, says Mirko. Yes. Light and fruity, says Gary. It's a hard act to follow a big sherried whiskey sometimes. You often your taste buds often need to reacclimatize a bit. So I'd recommend maybe taking a sip of water if you've got some nearby. I know I do somewhere. It is light and fruity, isn't it? I reckon this one's got some. What do we reckon? What do we reckon? Pear drops. What do we reckon on cask type or age, or any guesses for region? Any guesses for code? I'd love to see them in the comments. You know what? Whilst we're examining this whiskey and taking our time a little bit with it, I got to host a whiskey preview, a blind whiskey tasting, which was a champs preview session with the Oak Barrel, with Scott Fitzsimons at the Oak Barrel. We did it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Lots of fun, just examining flavor, examining these whiskeys. We did 6 whiskeys. We did smaller pours than you're getting tonight. We did 15 mils. And it was 3 core range and 3 society, and we got to experience. Was anyone here? Was anyone in the comments here at that tasting? Or did anyone join in on the virtual on that one? I know maybe a few of you did. Big shout out to the Oak Barrel. Good team there. Number 4 is simply exceptional, says Michael. Michael, you've got a good palate. I know what you mean by that. It's soft. It's delicate. There's ever so slightly coastal element to it. Blood orange. Bit of honey. Manuka honey. Juicy oak and vanilla. Good guess. Good guess. Yes, says John. Oh, John, you were in the room. I mean, I know you were there, John. I'm talking about anyone who was in the virtual, perhaps. Indeed, Reza, you were there as well. Sorry, I know who was there in person. I'm talking about the anyway. I wondered who jumped in on the virtual on for that one. That was good fun. That was a good fun night. Scotty and I bounce off each other quite well at a tasting, I've discovered. And that was the first time we've actually hosted something together. We've known each other for about 10 years, but that was the first, and we've worked in the same room together, and we've worked in the whiskey industry for about as long. And that was the first time we both hosted together, which is kind of unusual. I think this is the kind of whiskey that deserves a bit of time, deserves a bit of contemplation, if you like. It's delicate. It's nuanced. I'm going to have a taste of that. Wow. Bloody hell. That's even better than the first time I tasted this. That's just bouncing all over the place, isn't it? I'm getting very light peat. Ooh. That's incredible. And Jolly also saying it reminds you of Distillery 27. I'm thinking same area, maybe 93. I was on virtual from Brisbane. Yes, sorry, of course, in the virtual. Yes. Mike, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Special finish to me, maybe a white wine finished bourbon cask. Pretty old, methinks. Ooh, Darren, your palate is turning into a behemoth because you are very, very good on one of those points. It's either old or it's white wine finished. What do we think of the palate? Have we had a taste of that? What do you think of that palate? I think it's really it's just zingy and it's bounces around. Wow. That has no right being that good. That's so good. They're like waffles, like fresh sort of maple waffles. Lovely stuff. Take your time with that one. Like I said, this is a contemplative dram. Now, do we want any clues? Does anyone want any more clues? I'll give you a clue. This isn't really a big clue, but you can probably tell from the flavor of this one. This is not your regular kind of whiskey. This is something a little bit special, something in a black label, perhaps. It's a special dram. Awesome whiskey, says Darren Howie. Awesome, mate. Yeah. After getting some light peat on the finish only. It's funny that peat that you're getting on the light finish, it almost, I'll give you a clue. That peat should almost not exist in this. When I get that flavor, when I taste a whiskey that shouldn't have peat, but you get almost a bit of old school peat to it, that's exciting for me. That's really exciting. Yeah. Reza says it is aged and air makes it better and better. I might need a bit of time, that one. Rum Dunked Marshmallow. Ooh, Rum Dunked Marshmallow. I like that as a tasting note, Mirko. That is fantastic. Yeah, it's something special, isn't it? Maybe Distillery 31. Joel, it's funny you say that. We had that. Joel, were you in the Vaults virtual a couple of months back, 3 or 4 months ago now? That was one of those whiskey. That was one of those tastings where the 31.37 just absolutely sung. And a whiskey like that is quite rare. I mean, you don't see much from that distillery full stop in Australia, let alone a single cask ex Sauternes 31-year-old or whatever it was, 30-year-old. Pardon me. So, but you maybe Distillery 31. Distillery, yeah, I mean 30. Like I say, you get that. We've had some cracking good 31s. In fact, most of the whiskey we see out of Distillery 31 is quite aged. We see a fair bit of sort of over the years we've seen 20, 22, 25, 30, 33-year-old whiskey out of Distillery 31, which has been great. Light musk on the finish. A lot going on in this glass. Outstanding. Yeah, Darren, there's a lot going on. I should have poured maybe even a drop more for myself because I've just had my second sip of that. And that's unbelievable stuff. I think that's a really special whiskey. Now, I'm going to reveal what it is now, so you can play along and join me in celebrating what this whiskey is. I think this is really special. Now, we had a few guesses on tasting profile, on flavor profile. I saw juicy oak and vanilla. I saw maybe oily and coastal. Any other guesses for flavor profile? I'll wait a second before jumping into that because I think that was something else. No, not yet. That's okay. Any last guesses? Did anyone want to guess a code? Anyone want to guess an age statement, perhaps? I'm going to press on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the big screen and I'll reveal what it was. This is whiskey number 4 in our lineup. And this is Ask 38.31. The magic is so strong. It's a premium label whiskey. It's not Vaults, but it is premium label. It's in the sweet, fruity, and mellow flavor profile. Maybe it could have been an old and dignified Reza. I think it could have been actually. Really, probably deserving. My last lotto number is 52. 52 is not such a bad guess. Now, isn't it just incredible to think that this whiskey, that this 38.31, oozes almost coastal notes to it. This distillery is demolished. It was built across the road. I think I've got some photos ready to rumble here. Well, there it is in Outturn, and this is also in July Outturn. It was built across the road from Glen Grant Distillery, Distillery 9 in our livery. And it was designed to be surplus to what Distillery 9 was creating. The problem was they wanted it to be the same. They called it Glen Grant 2 for a long time. And it wasn't until much later in the piece, I think like 1960 or something, they renamed it to Cappadonic. But the reason was because after all those years, it took them 60 years to realize that they're never going to get to taste the same as the whiskey across the road. So it was meant to be surplus, it meant to be Glen Grant 2, it meant to be build another distillery to make more Glen Grant. It just never tasted the same as Glen Grant. The mysteries of the stills, the line arms, the alchemy of making spirit, they could never quite get it to that same standard. In fact, it adopted a different standard of its own. It was its own whiskey after that time. And it's long gone now, unfortunately. I think they produced a marvelous spirit. It was only in like 2006 or something, that very much more recently, that the distillery and the building around it was completely demolished. And there's what it used to look like. So, no, I did not take that photo. I was not in Scotland in 06 or 02, whenever it was demolished, I'm afraid. I was interested in whiskey, but not enough to venture to take a photo of an industrial-looking distillery. I think it's a marvelous story. I think it's a beautiful whiskey. It's a 26-year-old whiskey from Distillery 38. It's absurdly good. Now, I don't mean to sort of talk about value of these kind of things just like even tonight alone. Think about this for a second. This tasting was $79 in Outturn. A 30 ml dram of that whiskey that you've just had would be about $90-$95 at a bar, like any part of the bar, and that'd be a really good price on it as well. So it'd be around that sort of at least $90 a dram kind of thing for one whiskey out of the 5 we're having tonight. So you know what? I think these virtuals are a marvelous value and are a really good way for you to try whiskeys. In this case, a couple of Outturn previews as we've just seen here: the 68.52 and the 38.31. This leads us into dram number 5 for this evening. This leads us into the next whiskey, which here we go. Here's our mystery, our question marks. So let's venture into that. I'll bring up our whiskey number 5. Here we go. I'm going to pour this now. Where's the bottle? Got to keep that out of frame. Do my best to keep that out of frame. And maybe a curveball at the end here, which would be fun. Okay. Now, let's have a look at what we know about this whiskey. All we know about it is the proof. It's 50%. What's been 50% a few times in the Society's livery? What have we released at 58% a few times? Sorry, 50% a few times. Heresy, blended malts, things like that. Is it that? Is it something else? In Heaven with Dram 5. Indeed. Is it a Society blend? Reza, you're asking the question here. What do you think? It's a mystery malt. Let's use our noses and find out. In Heaven with Dram 5. Gary, you love this dram. Maybe it's a single cask that just happened to finish right at 50.0%. It can, just as much of the odds are just as likely as finishing at 50.1 or 49.9. So in this case, it was 50.0, or unless it's a Society blend. I smell the peat indeed, but it's a bit faint, isn't it, Michael? It's hidden away there, and I want to finish on something a bit special. Not that any of the other ones aren't special, but just something that's a bit more, something with a bit of gravitas, something with a bit of elegance. Joel, big call. I'm 100% sure, not 98 or 99, 100% sure this is Distillery 53. 50% is a very even ABV, but I'm guessing it's very old and it's a fluke ABV. So you're 100% sure that it's Distillery 53. Okay. I like your guesswork here. I like your guesswork. That's Joel, you're doing rather well tonight. Your palate's right on point. How lovely is that nose? It's just that Isla Maritime-y kind of nose. I do admire anyone who he has not opened that menu yet. You do not open envelope. I seriously admire your patience and fortitude not to. This makes it all the more fun that you can actually have these guessing games. Being a peak fan, just wow. Yeah, Michael, me too, but this is my kind of peated whiskey. Yeah, I'll explain why. I agree, Joel. Okay. Inclined to agree with Joel. It smells like 53 indeed. It's funny people say that. It's because 53, Distillery 53, has a very unique character. I'm one of those people that I think I can pick a 53 out of a lineup any day of the week. I have been wrong before, but it is one of those things where it's got such a unique flavor profile and it's such a unique distillate that is so consistent. Yeah, they call it Mr. C on the island for good reason. I love the blind tasting format, by the way. Oh, awesome. Moko, I mean, we do these for our members. We do these nights for you guys. And honestly, I think I know I've banged on it just before, but the value in these are unbelievable. That's a $90 whiskey we tried just then, a 26-year-old closed distillery single cask. And the whole pack was less than that. It was $20 less than that. Kalila or Ardbeg, I am torn. We have seen some 33s through and some 53s through. So, bark is louder than the bite. Ooh, what does that tell you, Darren? That's a really good comment. What does that tell you about this whiskey? If the bark is louder than the bite, let's have a taste. Bloody hell. Sorry. Bear with me a moment. I love everything about this whiskey. I told you I'm a Pete fan, but this is hitting all the right buttons. This is something special indeed. It's an old bottling. The peat has mellowed. Yeah, I think so. Just pure coincidence is bottled at 50%. Yeah, I mean that. Hey, I'll tell you. I'll tell you guys something. We've seen cask strength whiskeys from the society at 70%. Sorry, 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%, and 40.0%. There was a whiskey about 7 or 8 years ago. It was an old 35 that was 40.0% on the dot. It just made it. 30 or more. 30 or more? Okay. Who likes this whiskey? Who's anyone going to throw a tasting at 30 more age? Sorry, Darren. Yes. 30 years or older. Yeah. Okay. We did just hit a really old whiskey before this. It's not like I'd throw another really old whiskey into a mystery malt lineup, would it? I wouldn't do that to you, would I? I mean, maybe I want to throw a curveball at the end. Maybe it is a heresy. Maybe it's a blended malt that's just really good. Maybe it's one of our upcoming blended malts. Maybe. This is stunning whiskey. Reza, I'm so glad you're enjoying this because I'm enjoying it immensely, and I'm not inclined to add any water to this either. My type of malt must be fairly mature. Yeah, of course you would. Of course I would. It's just so it's just got so much swirling around in that glass. Like mineralic white fish, olive oil. It's like smoked olive oil. It's just imagine smoked olive oil on herring kind of thing. That's what I'm getting from this. Everyone's calling me out. So like squid ink, cod, bit of like olive, like black olives, tubs of black olives. And the mouthfeel is like lanolin. Does anyone remember lanolin? Like sheep cream? I just want to drink this all night now. That's unbelievable. It's a lot of fun. All right. I'm going to show you all what it is. Farm smell. Yep. I agree with Darren. 30 plus, most likely old and dignified. That's a good guess, Joel. You know what? Okay, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to give away what this one is. We're all enjoying it so much. This is too soon. I mean, we're all enjoying this, but I don't want to give it away too early. But got smoked cod in the fridge. I want to have it now with this. Yeah. You know what, Gary? Try like some smoked cod on thick, crusty bread toast, like toasted, thick, crusty toast, with a bit of drizzle of olive oil, a bit of salt. That would be unbelievable with this. I want to sit on that one all night. That's just an incredible whiskey. I've got the bottle here in my hand. I can show you what it is in person, or I can show you on the screen. I might show you on the screen, but I'll show you in person as well. No, I'm not giving one away. I'm going to give away. I'm going to give away what this is. Darren, I can't afford to give this one away. That might be a clue as to how old it is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th of the magnificent mystery malts in the pack. I'm going to show you all what it is. There's the mystery in the image. We're going to see what it is right now. And 3, 2, 1. 53.340. Loud Raves, The Torrent and the Rain. A 30-year-old full maturation refill ex-bourbon hogshead from Distillery 53. So, Joel Rinaldi, you are... I'll send you something special for guessing that one, because that was unbelievable guesswork there. Oh, I shouldn't even say guess. Very, very educated guess. It is an old 53. That is a really deliciously old 53. We had a 30-year-old 53 a few months back. Carpe Diem was the name. I thought it was marvelous. In fact, I wasn't alone in that. It won the double gold at the IWSCs recently. It was one of the highest rated whiskeys they've ever seen. This one is, I reckon this one will also wow the award shows, but it will also be a real special item. So we've had a 30-year-old sherry 53 recently, and now a 30-year-old ex-bourbon 53. I'm going to repeat what I said before, how I'm a huge fan of ex-bourbon casks. This one, for me, pips it at the post ever so slightly as something rather rare and special there. You can't afford to give away, but we're glad we tasted. Yeah, I mean, this is probably 120 or 150 a glass at a bar, and we get to enjoy it tonight with all of us. Beautiful, says Darren. Thank you so much. What a way to finish on a really old Vaults Collection 53 that's coming up in the July outturn. Speaking of July outturn, whilst we're here, there it is. By the way, I should show you on the full screen. Here we go. This is what it looks like in outturn. Absolutely stunning drop. A real sort of piece of distilling. Oh, no, won't let me do that. Oh no, let's try not stuff that up. Here we go. You know what? Here we go. So there it is. Refill bourbon hogshead, 30-year-old, 1990, and it falls right at 50.00%. And we've had 30 bottles allocated for us here. I'm just going to bring this up. We can see there's the outturn. But again, there's the outturn. Don't stuff it up for me again, please. There we go. Okay. And that's July outturn. That's next Friday. Really excited to share that with you all. Coming up next Friday at the midday on 2nd of July, not 4th. Ignore the cover. Those 5 whiskeys we've just tasted tonight, 3 of them are in outturn. One of them hasn't been released ever, and the other one's never been released. There's a very, 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 very small allocation of each. And when I say small, like 6 bottles of each available on smws.com.au/shop right now, exclusively for members, of course. There's outturn on its way. If you want to taste outturn, if you want to taste a bit of July outturn, Sydney, Captain's Balcony event had to be cancelled, but Akash and the team at Captain's Balcony kept 4 of the bottles. The magic is so strong, and Death by Chocolate Cake, which we tasted tonight, as well as 35.280, a peated expression from Distillery 35. That's a bit weird. And 6.44 Sentio Bonham Bibation, which is malt of the month. So it's actually a chance for you to taste them in Sydney. Of course, also our good friends over at Whisky and Almond. There they are, tasting through the samples just literally yesterday of the July outturn. Great team that they are, and they got through tasting all the samples. There's all the samples lined up so they can assess and write their full tasting notes, and so we can enjoy their expertise on these whiskeys as well. And there's some of the lineup of the outturn at Whisky and Almond at the moment in Melbourne. Melbourne's a little bit sort of more relaxed at the moment. They don't have all these lockdowns and stuff, so you can go to the bar there and enjoy a few things. I also wanted to mention coming up in our July outturn, if you flipped to the back page already, you'll see we're doing the Ultimate Winter Boilermaker pairings. This is a really sort of special night for us. It's not just any old sort of beer and whiskey pairing. It's one where we've worked closely with Whiskey and Almond and Hop Nation and Good Beer Week, a 4-way collaboration that took 13 months of cask maturation on a beer directly from a society cask. And that's the result of it there. Our Hop Nation Society Carbonado can. That can is in the pack along with other beer and other whiskey. But that one is only available through the society. It's our beer. It's our barrel-aged beer through the SMWS. Our focus on flavor continues as a whiskey club. No doubt people will say, it's a whiskey club. What are you doing beer for? And other people say, whatever. The point is, it's our beer. It's really special. We've taken 13 months. This isn't like 1 month of maturation or something. This is 13 months of maturation in an X53 cask and samples of that actual cask in the pack. Wow. That's amazing. So that's really exciting for us. And I really want to thank you all for being part of Magnificent Mystery Malts. If this was your first virtual, I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to see a photo of your setup. I'd love to see you start a thread on our Facebook group, chatting about it, what you loved about it, talk about the whiskeys, take a photograph of your samples, say what you loved, say what surprised you, anything like that, any of your tasting notes. We love hearing that. That's what part of being a proper whiskey community, an actual whiskey club is. It's not a subscription model. It's not anything like that. This is your whiskey club. This is your place to congregate, come together, join in these events online, in person, at partner bars around the world, around Australia, wherever you might be. Really appreciate some of the comments coming. This pack is best value ever. Thanks, Darren. Reza says, great tasting, beautiful drams. Many thanks, Matt. You're very welcome, of course. We love doing these, especially because they did slow down a bit, obviously, as things started opening up again, but we don't know what that looks like, and we like doing them anyway. And even if they're smaller format, we get together and share a few drams and have a chat. Why not? Brilliant tasting, Death by Chocolate Cake locked in. Good Friday evening. Why not, mate? Good stuff. Thanks for an awesome night, Matt. That Death by Chocolate Cake is going to vanish on outturn. We know it will. It's a limit to 1 per person, so no double dipping, Mirko. This is going to be great. You're all very welcome. If there's other packs left, if there's more of that pack left, it's a stupendous value, even if you've done the tasting, just to have 5 of those drams again. If there's any left, they'll be on the website. I don't know if there's any of this pack left. However, we're working on, obviously, our July pack, and we've also got the August pack in production as well at the moment, which I'm super excited by. Cracking drams, mate. Mike, great to see you, Mike. Hope you're well, mate. And awesome lineup. You're very welcome. Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. You all have a fantastic weekend. If you're locked down, if you're in Sydney, along with me, you know what? Just let's grin and bear it. Let's do what we can. For everyone else, you know what? Enjoy what you're doing. Stay safe, stay happy, stay in good spirits, and of course, I will see you all. I'll see you all next week. I should also mention next week we're going to be doing some outturn previews. So I've got 6.44, the malt of the month, and that port scratchings, 35.280, ready for a preview. I'm also moving house at the moment, so I'm not going to exactly be able to tell you which day that's going to be. It won't be Monday or Tuesday, but coming into Wednesday, Thursday, we'll do some. We'll do some previews of those upcoming whiskeys in the Friday outturn. You all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for enjoying this, indulging me in your comments, your questions and your suggestions and your tasting notes. You know what? This is what it's all about. Have a fantastic weekend. I know I've said that 5 times. Cheers. Cheers.